everybody, and welcome to the Badass Business Introvert interview series. Today, I am here with Ashley DeLuca. You guys, I'm so excited to be talking to her today. She's talking about web strategy for the creative entrepreneur. And so we're going to get deep into that really soon. But just so you guys, if you haven't met Ashley before, here's just a little bit about her. Ashley is a digital marketing consultant who empowers female entrepreneurs through the power of web design and a foolproof strategy. Holy cow, I can't talk today. Loves her 2 basset hounds and 9 acres of land with her hubby in southern Ohio. So you're not far from me, technically. I'm in North Dakota, so Western. I was just in Ohio actually earlier this month, so that's pretty exciting. But my first question for you is, how old are your basset hounds? Because I love dogs. So
yes, oh my gosh, me too. So our first pupper is Baxter, and he is 2. And then we have Reagan, and to be completely fair, we adopted her, so she's like a Beagle Basset mix. She is our sweetheart, and she is 1. And her birthday's coming up really soon. So they are both a year apart, and I love them to pieces. And I'm actually really surprised they're being quiet right now.
Awesome. I love that. And you guys have 9 acres of land. I love that too, because I have 2.5, and I'm like, gosh, I want more land. I don't like to live right next to people. So it's kind of
Same.
So when I saw your bio, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like me. I love dogs and I love to have land. So
exactly. Yeah, we just moved out here, and we got like the first part done, which is the house. And so we still have, literally my house is in the middle of a big mud pit. So we're going to be doing grass and landscaping and stuff like that, but we're definitely looking to do like a big barn. We want to have chickens. We already have a cow next door from our neighbor. His name is Ramsey. So we have like so much plans for all these 9 acres. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, I get it. And one of our neighbors actually has a goat and chickens and turkeys. And so it's kind of like we have those because they are in our yard 50% of the time. So, yeah, I love being out in the country and being able to do stuff like that. So totally loving that you're on that too. So, but we are here today to talk about web strategy. So we're going to get into that. So for those of the people that aren't actually familiar with what web strategy is, can you tell us a little bit about what web strategy is?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I have found while talking to other creative entrepreneurs is that we're always being preached to in regards to having like a content strategy, a strategy for Instagram, Facebook, all this good stuff, which we do need as business owners. But I find oftentimes we're sending them to our website, and they get to our website and there's no strategy behind it. There's nothing there. And a lot of times, we have really great photos, we have a great theme, we have a great setup, but a lot of times we're losing warm leads that we get from social media because we're not actually targeting them in a way to be able to work towards that and being able to accomplish what I like to call that ultimate website goal. So basically, web strategy is being able to be more strategic with your website instead of just having just great copy and pretty pictures, actually being able to strategically see and go through the process of taking those warm leads and actually converting them into clients.
Awesome. Yeah, websites are so important. I think people kind of forget about that aspect of their business because, like you said, we're so focused on the social media strategy of everything and trying to beat algorithms and whatever thing is going on. So we kind of put that on the back burner, and I've totally been one to be guilty of that because my website is in some massive need of updates and some strategy. So how can someone easily implement web strategy into their current website?
Definitely. So the biggest thing is going back to that ultimate website goal. You have to understand what is the actual purpose of your website. Now, for a lot of creative entrepreneurs, you kind of fit into 2 categories. So you either are a service provider or you're a product provider, usually one of the 2. So starting with like that service provider, generally speaking, you want them to contact you. You want to book them as a client. You want to talk to them. So the basic strategy behind that is getting them to that point. And you can easily do that by mapping out their user behavior flow as they go through your website. So every page should be directing them to your contact page. Yes, I understand. Like, I have a blog. There's different things like that. But, you know, you want them to opt in, all this other great stuff. And that's all great and fine. You know, those are things that you want them to accomplish too. But the main goal should go back to that ultimate website goal of getting them to contact you and linking to that, you know, making sure that every single page directs them to that, like a big sparkly banner, like, hey, you need to go to my contact page. Let's talk. Same thing with the products, except at this point, you're flipping around from, you know, the contact page to your product page and actually going through the checkout process and upselling and things like that. But at the end of the day, you want them to hit that checkout button. So everything should direct them to your product page. So while it seems that it's like super complex, it's really not. It's just a simple fact of like actually thinking through that ultimate website goal and actually going page by page of your website and linking to that, making it known this is your next step. Because a lot of times you'll be looking through a web page or you'll be going through something and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Yes, there should be a call to action, and that call to action should be your ultimate website goal.
Awesome. Perfect. And so talk to us a little bit more about call to actions. What are they for people that aren't familiar with it? How can they use it to benefit their website a little more?
For sure. So a call to action is exactly what it sounds. You are giving that user a call to action. So you want them to do something. So oftentimes we want them to take that next step. We want them to either click on a button, click on a link, fill out a form, things like that. Those are all really strong call to actions. And leading up to that, everything that you're saying or everything that is being visually interpreted should be to do that said item. So that way, as they get down to that point of action, it should be a no-brainer. It's just like the monkey finding the banana. Like, you literally have to help that monkey find the banana in regards to being able to like help them make that happen for them. And so that's like the biggest thing. And that's what I find there's definitely a lot of confusion. It doesn't have to be like all this craziness. It just needs to be very simplified, not all these other options. Literally, there's just one option, and that is to accomplish that 1% goal.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Perfect. And so doing these call to actions, you know, people use a lot of different platforms for their websites. Is there a certain like one that you recommend that's just you just have them put like a link on their page? What do you recommend if they're using, you know, if they're trying to do DIY it themselves?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. So in regards to with like platforms and stuff like that, I am a huge WordPress lover. However, I understand that WordPress isn't for everybody. It doesn't always fit every business need or every business model based off of like where you're at price point wise, or where you're at on your DIY stage, you know, different things like that. So being able to like universally, no matter what platform you're using on, the biggest thing is, as I mentioned earlier, like key focusing on one thing per page. So like if you're on your home page, like you should not have like 3 call to actions in regards to like, hey, I want you to opt in. Hey, I want you to join my Facebook group. Hey, go check out my about page and my services page. Oh, I have a blog. Like, I don't know what I'm going to click. And that's where a lot of confusion is like on the home page where that drop rate is so high because people are like, what do you want me to do? It should be super simple. Like, you can have that forefront in regards, and I find it very successful to have that forefront being your opt-in because that makes sense. And then everything after that should be linking to that next area in regards to that next step. So for me, I always recommend, hey, as a service provider, it needs to go to like your work with me page so they can contact you. That's where they need to go. Now, obviously, like your about page, your blog, and things like that, those are all super important because you can use those for them to find out more about you, and being able to go through the process of like getting to know you as an expert. But it doesn't have to be a primary focus because if they're looking for it, they know where to find it in your navigation. So it's like there, but not necessarily. So that's just like with the homepage. In regards to like other pages, it definitely should be, I love buttons. Buttons are a huge thing, to be able definitely to distract the attention to know, hey, you need to visually click here. But you can also use links within your copy as well too, to be able to, you know, anytime you say, hey, let's meet up and chat, you can start putting links to there. So that way, if they're like ready to make that decision before they get to the bottom of the page, they can go ahead and contact you like before you get to the bottom and before they have to read everything else. So keeping things like super short, simplified, and just super easy to understand, like what you want them to do, that it's a no-brainer. that's how you're going to get to that next step in regards to being able to utilize that strategy to be able to actually help people get to that contact page.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Awesome. Those are some great tips, because I know like people, especially at the beginning when they're DIYing their site, it can be overwhelming and they're not sure what they really need to do and how they need to do it. But
Definitely.
it's important. And so can you talk to us a little bit about why web strategy is so important for creative entrepreneurs?
Definitely. Yeah, exactly. So as I had mentioned earlier, like, you know, we have all these other strategies and like they're helping us get to that goal in regards to being able to, you know, help us get more people to our website to be able to book more clients and things like that. But as you're directing them to your website, whether it's to read your blog or to go through and like check out your work with me page or things like that, or check out your products rather, we can't lose them at that point because they're confused or because they don't understand what that next step needs to be. So like the biggest thing is I like to view it as like the icing on the cake. Like, you know, you have that solid foundation in regards to everything else with like awesome content, awesome strategy for your social media. You know, you're rocking it out. But at the end of the day, like having that additional icing on the cake of being able to have a website that's going to work in your favor, it's just going to help you establish your credibility, because they're going to be like, oh yeah, this girl definitely knows what she's doing because I know what I need to be doing on her website. You know what I mean? It's not like this confusing matter of like, oh my gosh, there's too many options. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And also too, it's going to help you as a creative entrepreneur to be able to help funnel those sales on through. You're going to be able to see where those people might be dropping off. If you see that obviously like people are dropping off like flies on your Work With Me page, we need to be making tweaks on there to help work on that, as opposed to directing people to all these different areas. If they're just going to that one area, you can see, you know, what exactly is going on, how people are responding and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. And you kind of touched on this a little, but how can people evaluate if their strategy is working a little more, especially if they're not on like WordPress? I think you could probably see a little more insights, a little more if they're on, like, if they're dropping off on that Work With Me page. But, you know, some platforms don't have that, those stats kind of available as much. So how are people able to evaluate if their web strategy is working?
Definitely, for sure. So most, if not the majority of platforms that you use for your website has some sort of integration with Google Analytics. Google Analytics is like my favorite best friend in regards to being able to see that user behavior flow. That's the main thing, because within the statistics in regards to with Google, you can see how many people are coming to a page. So like, let's say like you have 20 people coming to your homepage, and then you'll see that like 5 people decided to go to your about page, 5 people went to your Work With Me page, 5 people went to your contact page. And then like it has percentages in regards to like 2 people dropped off here on your contact page, but then they went here. It literally shows you the roadmap of like the majority of how people went through your website based off of where they started and where they ended at. And that's that really key factor in being able to see that full picture in regards to how people are actually responding to your website and if that strategy is working. Because the whole strategy idea is to be able to funnel them and get them to go, you know, where you want them to go to that ultimate website goal. And that alone will show you where it's at.
Oh, there we go. It froze on my end a little. Sorry.
Okay.
I warned you that I was going to be sitting here like with a stupid smile on my face if BeLive lagged a little. So that was the moment for it, apparently.
It happened.
So this is crazy because I didn't realize that I have a lot of work to do on my web strategy is what I have already figured out from this today. I didn't know that you could go on Google Analytics and you look at your website pages. So I'm totally checking that out today because I have Squarespace for my site. And so I'm going to go check that out and see what I'm not doing wonderful at and see where I can make improvements. Like I said, my site always needs more improvements. So
yeah, this
is great, especially for those people who weren't sure and they're on different platforms like I was, and haven't done any of this before. Like, this is great information for anyone trying to up their website game a little bit here. And so you have a free resource library.
Yes.
Yes. What's that about? What do you kind of have included in it? What kind of nuggets do you have to share about that?
Yeah, definitely. So my free resource library is basically like a whole collection of just the things that I've noticed that people have needed. So I actually have a video that's going to be going up super duper soon that is going to actually show you how to set up your Google Analytics. In regards, because a lot of websites, it is for WordPress. However, though, you can still use that same knowledge to be able to set up on any other platform that you have, which is like super duper exciting. So that's going to be launching soon. And then I also have lots of other things in regards to being able to map out your web strategy, planning for a website, whether or not you already have one or you're thinking about doing one, a guide on that, and just like all these other resources that are just help you as an entrepreneur to be able to kind of think outside the box in regards to with like your website and as an entrepreneur just in whole. So I love it. It's like one of my favorite things to work on. And I launch a new one each month. So that way, obviously, you have something to come back to each month to be able to learn and share.
Right. Awesome. That is amazing. I'm probably going to have to check that out. If you guys didn't see, the link to the free resource library is in the comments below. Go check it out, sign up, get all these golden nuggets of information that she is sharing. I'm really excited for the video that she just talked about that's coming out about Google Analytics, because I feel like that's kind of a different language to me. So I'm pretty excited to check that out. Do you have any other little nuggets or anything to share with us? If there's like some little thing that you thought of that, you know, you could add to from the information today?
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I definitely wanted to share is like in regards to like personal experience. So like my web strategy was like not always on point either. Like everyone like starts on that journey, and like it started in regards to with seeing my user work behavior flow, like with how they were responding. And I saw people dropping like flies off of like my brand new work with me page that I did. And I was so confused. I was like, this is brand new. Like I researched it. I thought this would work. Well, it didn't. And I was able to quickly notice that based off of that user behavior flow. Had I have like not looked at that, I would have just like lost tons and tons and tons and tons of people, because like obviously, you know, the copy and the way it was set up and the way it was worded and stuff like that wasn't right. So like being able to regularly check that as well too, especially when you're making a change or you're working on a new package or program or something like that, you can definitely take a look at it to be able to see how it's performing if you need to edit it. Sometimes it's not actually the offer. Sometimes it's just the way that you're presenting it or the way you're saying it. And that's a great key to be able to know, you know, hey, like it's not necessarily like people aren't vibing with the offer. It may just be the way that I have it presented or set up.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Perfect. Gosh, this interview has been so great. I learned so much about web strategy. Like, you know, I just really, that's something that's like always in the back of my mind. And I'm like, you gotta work on your website. You gotta do it. And then like, now I have a little bit more information on how to do it. And
definitely.
So, great. And so I'm sure this has helped a lot of people and will continue to help a lot of people as this keeps getting shared. So thank you so much for all the information today. I have one final question for you. Before we get going. So it is, are you ready?
Yes.
How has being an introvert benefited you in your business?
So for me as an introvert, like I really feel like at the end of the day, it's one of those things that because I'm able to take a step back from everybody else and all the noise, because there's so much noise in our community, like so much noise. There's everyone screaming and hollering and just talking to the masses, and like being able to take a step back and being like that more reserved type of being able to be like, okay, hold on, just 1 second. You're able to grasp so much information and you'll be able to see all the mistakes that other people are making, like screaming to the masses. Like that does definitely not work. And like being able to like take that step back has helped me so incredibly much with avoiding those kind of mistakes, avoiding those things that are just like, okay, yeah, you can see that's not working. Like obviously, because like you've taken the same Facebook post and posted it 60 times in 60 groups. That doesn't work. You know, things like that. Yeah. You know, those little things that you can just take a look at it and you can be like, oh, just because you're not extremely out there and just doing everything, all the things, you know, taking a step back and just being like, okay, wait a second. What is actually working here? And what can I actually do to make, you know, and like edit that strategy to be able to go on top of it, as opposed to just automatically joining the bandwagon and automatically just jumping on in, because, you know, that's how, I mean, like, I feel like definitely in the middle, but at the same time too, like when you're just like a full on extrovert and just like going crazy, like it can actually affect you in a way of just like always jumping on along, and sometimes that's not always like the best way. So even just pulling yourself back and being more reserved, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I agree. You have to being able to, like, I don't know, just take a step back. I kind of feel like that's like an introvert power, is taking a step back and kind of looking and evaluating and thinking things over a little more is kind of really part of being an introvert. And it really makes a huge difference when you're, you know, doing anything in your business, being able to have that moment to step back and look over everything. So
yeah,
great answer. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming on today. It was so insightful. I learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else has learned a lot as well. If you got any questions, if you're watching the replay or anything, please drop them below, and be sure to check out her free resource library that is linked below. It's pinned in the comments, so it's right there at the top for you. Otherwise, that is all we have today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next interview with the Badass Business Introvert interview series. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye.